Good evening, everybody. How's it going? It's Friday. Hey, Friday. I'm so excited for the weekend and excited for football is getting really into full gear with my Gamecocks taking on North Carolina tomorrow. I know everybody is excited and that it's the weekend, that football's going, and the weather has been just amazing. I don't know where you are, but here in Myrtle Beach, the humidity is low, the temperatures are down in like the upper 70s. It's just perfect and it's amazing and perfect timing for a nice long Labor Day weekend. My name is Todd Scholl. I serve as the SCEA's lead learner for their Center for Educator Wellness and Learning. We call ourselves CEWL, and you can find out all you want to know about CEWL on our website. That's CEWL.us, and I'm struggling to find, where is it? There it is, CEWL.us, cool.us. You can find all the live streams we do, including the panel discussions, and you can also request free professional learning for your school or district. If you're in South Carolina and you're in a public school or public school district, all you have to do is go to this website right here, and on the homepage, you're going to find a form, and you just request it. It comes to me, and I will contact you, and we'll set up some free professional learning. I can come in and do sessions. We've got Keneal Cornell, Dr. Marcella Weinsnyder, and several other people on staff and folks that we are connected with who can come and do really relevant and engaging professional learning for your school or district. I hope we've had a lot of live streams this week. It was kind of like unintentional, but we had a lot going on this week. I hope that you've enjoyed the session we had with Jed, and then we had another one on student debt relief. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. And then we had one yesterday on with Cheryl and Alan, our member advocate, about the new unencumbered time rules and laws, along with class size statutes. So if you're interested in that, check out the post from last night. But tonight, this is one of my favorite things to do, is to bring our members on and give them voice. And tonight, we're bringing on 3 members from the Florence Education Association. You may have remembered several months ago, we did one with the Greenville County Education Association. And tonight, we thought we would bring in folks from Florence Education Association. So here they are. Shamir, Angelica, and John, welcome to the live stream. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great, Todd. Looking forward to a little bit of a long weekend just to relax a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yes, especially after that big storm on Wednesday. So we had e-learning. You guys probably had e-learning as well at Florence. And so, it was kind of a crazy week, but finally glad for the weekend.
It was a crazy week, but I'll tell you what, the weather here is just beautiful, and I hope it is where you are as well. Let's start with just introducing ourselves, like your name, and folks may know Angelica from our Cool Beans podcast that we do with Dr. Marcella Weinsnyder. If you haven't seen that, please go back and check that out. Well, let's start with Angelica and then go around to Shamir and then John. Just introduce ourselves, like where you teach and anything you want to talk about yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Angelica McDonald, and I am a teacher in the Florence County. So I am a high school English teacher, and I'm also a graduate from USC. So go Gamecocks. So ready for that? Yes. So ready for the game, even though I won't be there in person. But I've been teaching for at least 4 years. So this will be my 4th year teaching. And so it's been a crazy ride, but I'm enjoying it. So I'm glad to be here tonight.
Okay, so hi, I'm Shamir. I'm the local president of the Florence Association. I'm a 4th grade teacher at Lucy T. Davis Elementary. This is my 20th year teaching, and I'm pretty excited about it. So that's about it.
Hey, everybody. I'm John Huggins. I teach 5th grade ELA over at Virtus Academy. I am one of the member organizers for the Florence County area, and I'm really excited to have everybody here and just to talk about the amazing things that Florence County is doing.
Awesome. So let's start there. So for those who may be watching, one of the things that I think is not widely known unless you're a member is that when you join the SCEA, you're actually joining really 3 associations. You're joining your National Education Association, and then your state, or the South Carolina Education Association, but you're also joining your your local association, which is really important for us to be advocating it on all three levels. So let's kind of start there at the local level where you are. What are some things going on in Florence that you might want to celebrate, or some things that maybe are areas of concern for you? And anybody can just jump in.
Well, one of the things that we wanted to celebrate is that we shared this past school term a concern about security. The teachers and other educators in the district did. So right now, this school year, every school has a security guard. So we're pretty pleased with that because we didn't have it before, not in the elementary schools. I think it was at the high schools and the middle schools, but it's at every school now. So we're excited about that. We're also excited about paid maternity and paternity leave because we didn't have that. Although I don't plan on getting on that roller coaster again, but it's good for anyone else that does.
Right.
This is our second year of having uninterrupted lunchtime. We didn't have that before, but we started last year. So yeah, this is our second year. So those are some of the good things.
That's awesome.
And over at Vertis, now, just so everybody's aware, Vertis is a charter school here in Florence County. So we're not part of Florence One, but we are still repping here in Florence County as well. But one of the things that we've even started doing is we got lucky enough to be blessed with a grant and some other funding to be able to hire a sheriff. Actually a sheriff's officer that'll be beginning at our school once they finish up some of their training and stuff. So we're really excited about that to go along with the security thing Shamir was talking about. And one of the other exciting things that we had happen at our school is one of the things that a lot of us were stressed about was we were only paid once a month. And so we were lucky enough to get changed to we're at twice a month now. So we were really excited about that this year. So it was really awesome.
That's great.
And I think I would like to add with that, it depends on the person as a teacher. So right when I started, the first year, the reason I came to Florence County, one of the reasons was because they started the year-long schedule. And at first, when people hear that year-long, they're thinking you don't have a summer break, you don't have any breaks. But what it's supposed to do, you take some of your summer weeks and you spread your breaks in between. So in the first week in October, I am ready because we'll finally have that week-long break. And I'm really excited. But from other districts, like they'll still keep going to school. But I enjoy. So some people don't like it because they wish they had a longer summer. But for me, I like those breaks in between because it kind of helps with teacher retention. So once you're tired and once the kids are tired and you're tired as well, that's when you have that break. So that's the one thing that drew me to this county. I know the first year they couldn't do it because of COVID, but after that, then we have the year-long schedule. And I personally could tell the difference with me as a teacher.
Yeah, I've always thought that sounded like a much more reasonable thing to do than to take 10 weeks off in the summer to maybe take a few weeks fewer in the summer and then apply them during the year, because it gets to be a haul. I mean, at various times in the year, and knowing that you've got sort of like a resting point coming up is really, really helpful. And I remember it felt like, spring break felt like this oasis in the desert that you're crawling to.
Yes.
Like, oh my God,
sometimes it still feels like that though, Todd. Like even with the extra breaks, sometimes it still feels like that, like far out reaching thing that you're aiming for.
Right. So those are all great things to celebrate. What are some concerns that you have? And maybe they're not necessarily specific to Florence, but some things that as educators you're seeing happening either in your area or the state or the country that are concerns for you.
Go ahead, Shamir.
Well, I guess one of my concerns, would be trying to find that healthy balance between school life and home life. I'm still struggling with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think same.
Definitely. I don't turn off. I get home and it's I'm going at home, and then I'm constantly thinking about what to do for my kids at school. It's just I don't turn off.
Yes.
So that's definitely a concern. And in talking to other educators, I find that that's still an issue.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
I think that's something we as educators, like a lot of people don't realize that we as educators, like we give 110% to all of our kids 100% of the time. And And that's even whether we're at home, whether we're at school, no matter where we are, like we're giving our all to other people's children. And if we have our own children, because I know Shamir, you have two beautiful girls, and so I can only imagine how hard it must be some days to still give 100% to them once you get home after you've given 110% to somebody else's kids all day. I can only imagine that part.
You're speaking to something that's really, really important to me. You used the word work-life balance, and I was watching this video, and it really got me thinking. He said, the guy said, there shouldn't be a work-life balance. Life is your priority. Your family, your kids, your life is number one. There shouldn't be balance. It shouldn't be in balance. Life should be higher in a higher priority than your work. I mean, not that your work isn't
Right.
important, but we've got to get out of this mentality like I've got to balance it out. No, like we should be modeling for kids, and really, to me, schools should be set up in a way that we should have really vibrant lives outside of our work, and that's what we should be fighting for. That's really why unions exist, is so that we can eke out some time to have a life outside of work. Work is great, it's important, but it's it's 40 hours out of your week, and you've got how many
Yes.
hours in the week? So 7 times 24, like 144. Like it's 1/3 of your week. So like your life is the rest of it. Angelica, what are your thoughts on that?
And I was thinking as well, it is very important for, of course, your schools and your district knowing that we have a life outside of school. We're not only just teachers as well. Of course, it's important for us to know, but also our, admin and of course, everyone above us, because when you have to take off because you have kids, I don't have kids, but I do still have a family. Just because I'm a single and don't have kids, a lot of people assume I have nothing else to do. Right after this, I have something to do at church. I really do have a busy life. So a lot of people don't think that teachers have a life. And so they put more on you and expect you to say yes to everything. And so I'm learning, even as a 4th-year teacher, that I can't say yes to everything because I do have other things outside of school. And kind of even going back to kids too, we also have to remember our students are not just students to their kids as well. So they also have that balance. So when we are working with kids, and I think that's what takes a lot out of me. I'm working so hard because I know them more than just a kid. As a student, I see them as the whole person. And so I'm working with them, I'm talking with them. So people don't see teaching as that we're just giving out assignments, but no, it's emotionally draining, even though we're not therapists, but you've probably seen those memes about teachers wearing different hats. I'm literally wearing 50 hats depending on what time of the day it is. So it does take a lot out of you, because that's why we give 100%. So admin and of course people above us have to know that teachers have a life outside, and us as teachers, we have to realize our kids, are a whole person too. So we're kind of just all have to work together, if that makes sense.
I think like Labor Day weekend is such a good
Yes.
time for us to really reflect on this, because you know I love my job and I love my work and I'm very passionate about it, and I think most educators are, and it's really easy to get in the habit of just saying, because I mean our day could really never end, and we could keep
Right.
doing the work over the weekend if we really wanted to.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I think we get in the habit of just overcommitting. And Pete Stone, who's part of our C3 collective, released a video today about just saying no to other duties as assigned. And I think we've really got to make it a habit of saying no to things, and then not taking on the guilt for saying no, or letting other people gaslight us into thinking we're not putting students first by putting ourselves and our own personal lives as a priority. I'm reading a book called Rest is Resistance by Tricia Hershey, and I highly recommend that book to folks. It's a really good book about the importance of
Excuse me.
building in rest into our lives, and just not taking on any sense of like I'm doing something wrong for taking this time to just relax and do nothing for a little while.
Yeah. And Todd, part of what you like, and I watched Pete's video a little earlier before we started this, and like so many things he said resonated. And a part of it comes with, and I know a lot of us are trying to work to build a better contract, even at the state level, because our contract is so vague. It doesn't, protect us, protect that time, protect that our outside of school time, like you said, it has just that other duties as assigned. And that can be anything. Like, and it's scary to think about sometimes.
Yeah, so that term opens things up for exploitation, like, well, hey, there's these other things I need you to do, and that can be an endless list. If we don't stand up together and say no, that doesn't mean that I'm coming into in the evenings and the weekends and giving up my personal time. I think we just have to stake it out, and I think that's easier to do when we do it collectively rather than in isolation, which is why we're trying to get people organized at the building level, the district, and at the state level, so that we don't feel alone when we say no.
Yes, definitely. Because it's so important that we realize that we're all, I was going back to High School Musical, like they used to say, we're all in this together. Like, I mean, we've got to support one another.
Yeah, the idea of solidarity is really important. That brings up the idea of solidarity this morning. I think I'm sure that you all have heard by now about our state superintendent of education saying she was going to formally sort of disconnect any kind of connection with our South Carolina Association of School Librarians, which is really disheartening. And I know there are a lot of school librarians out there who are really disheartened by that. What was your reaction to that?
And number one, like, as I am, like, I'm an ELA teacher, so like I am a huge supporter of books or whatever else, and any type of book that anybody's interested in. And it literally shattered like my heart, my ELA teacher heart, my book lover heart, to know that our state Department of Education is not going to stand and support people that are employed by them, like, because they love to play the game of, oh no, teachers and everybody else are employees of the district when it benefits them versus being employees of the state. But that's another conversation. But they're not going to sit there and support their employees, support their people that are doing the job that they expect them to do, and backing them up regardless. It's really concerning, because just because one person doesn't like a book, then don't read that book. Have a conversation with the teacher and say, hey, I don't think this book's right for my kid. Okay, then we'll work something else out. I'm choosing to do a variety of novels all year with my students. I sent that list out, said, hey, these are the novels we're reading. If you're not okay with it, let me know. We'll figure out another plan.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you should have the right to ban it from every other child in that room.
That's right.
Or in that building or wherever else.
And I think the problem also comes with when a parent or someone outside of that classroom sees a book and maybe they don't know the book too well. They just see something on TikTok or Facebook, and then
Oh, yes.
And I know my parents have always taught me about the chain of command. Sometimes people bypass you as the teacher. They don't talk to you. They want to go straight to the superintendent, straight. But you can talk to the teacher first. Like, if you don't think that book is right for your kid, like John was kind of saying, talk with the teacher.
Yes.
Instead of banning it for the whole class. Because again, if we want our students to be critical thinkers, if we really want our students, and of course, I know as a parent, I'm not a parent, but I know as parents that they want the best for their kids. And I can see from their point of view, like, you may not want a certain book for your child. I can see that. But don't bypass the teacher. At least have a conversation with the teacher if you're uncomfortable with something before you go straight to the principal or straight to the superintendent, because most teachers are willing to listen, to talk with you, and we can do something specifically for your kid, but still everyone else shouldn't be, completely banned from that. And also, kids have to learn to have discussions and conversations, especially, again, teachers are not trying to, persuade students to think a certain way. I know in my class, I try to let students have different opinions, different ideas. That's open conversation. And I always start off with, this is a classroom where we are free to discuss, but I also have certain parameters. You can't say certain things. But I want kids, because that's how I learned in school. I learned from talking with other people. I may not believe anything they believe, but I learned, and I learned from books. Reading. I may not agree with the book I read, but I still read it because I was able to learn from different point of views. And I think that's from the perspective as an English teacher. So that's why I became a teacher, so kids can discuss and learn from different perspectives.
Yes. And I saw one of the comments that pops up, Miss Nancy Goodson. Girl, if we knew the answer to that, we'd all be millionaires. Oh, we would all be millionaires if we knew the answer to that one. And I'll leave it at that.
Shamir?
Well, I definitely agree with both of them. I don't agree with banning a book just because one parent or one person says they don't want their child reading it. I think you're stopping or preventing empathy. You're an exposure to other things and inclusion, which is one of my big things. Inclusion,
Yes.
accepting that other people are different. Nobody is the same. So I was kind of disappointed in the State Department in making that decision.
Yeah. You know, they a lot of these groups talk about the parents wanting to have control, and at least here in Horry County, and I think this is probably true across the state. If I'm a parent and there's a book that I don't want my child to read, I can go in and tell the library, don't let my child check out that book.
Right.
In fact, I can tell the library, don't let them check out any books unless you approve it through me first. So parents already have that control. It's not about the parent. This really isn't about the parents gaining control of their situation. It's about gaining control of my kid's situation, other kids' situation. So that's not. It's not about. This is the whole thing about, this is I'm a parent and I should have control. You already have control.
Yep, you do.
Your child is not going to be forced to read any book. Your child isn't going to be forced to read a book. Your child is not going to be told that they have to go into the library and pick out the books that you'd find offensive. But don't come in and dictate to me that my kids can't access those books because you find them offensive. Well, there's books in there I'm sure I would find offensive, and I don't have any interest in controlling, what I trust our school librarians. And I think that's what it really comes down to, is trust. I trust our school librarians to select a wide range of books that are inclusive, that are diverse, and that represents the whole tapestry of the human experience, and that are age appropriate and developmentally appropriate, and are what our students need access to. And I'm sure that's a difficult job to do, but I trust them to do it. And teachers and parents already have total control. So I don't know what problem we're trying to solve here, other than trying to impose morality and that on other families.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with that, saying that parents are already in control, and looking at it from another perspective, whatever I want my kids to read that's not in the library, I buy it for them. I read it with you. So you already are in control.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. I said, if we're deciding we've got to take all of these out of libraries and all of this other kind of stuff, so what's next? We're going to tell Barnes and Noble you can't sell X, Y, and Z because it's offensive.
Right.
I go into Barnes and Noble, there might be stuff in there that I don't agree with or whatever else, but guess what? I don't go swipe my card and buy it. That's that's just how that works. Like Todd, you said, not making the decision for me or whatever. It's like, you stay in your lane and live your life. Let me stay in mine and live mine.
Right.
You can not like mine, whatever. That's your problem, not mine.
Right.
And it's becoming that thing of where so many people want to control what other people are doing and not allow them to make their own decisions. And when we get to that point, we're living in a stage where it's honestly really scary at that point.
Right.
One of my favorite authors, Jodi Picoult. I think she had like 20 something of her books banned.
Yes.
There are things that I read in her books, like you have already said, that we don't agree with, but I love that it still opened me up to a new perspective, a different point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I still benefited from reading that book. I wouldn't think that it should be banned. So.
Well, I mean, Catcher in the Rye was the most banned book in America for over 20 years. And it was one of the most important books that I've ever read for me as a person, as a 16-year-old coming up, feeling a little bit like an outsider and kind of ostracized, and kind of like the world and the culture that I'm in is kind of phony, and me kind of connecting with Holden Caulfield. That book was really important for me because it made me feel like, okay, here's somebody who's kind of thinking about the world in some similar ways, and I'm connecting, and it made me love reading. And yes, it has profanity in it, and yes, some people may be offended by it, but I mean, like, that's the human experience doesn't
Mhm.
conform to what makes us comfortable all the time. And
Yes.
sometimes actually getting out of that comfort zone and understanding how other people are perceiving life and the world and what their challenges are and what they may be thinking, it helps us be more empathetic,
Mhm.
loving, compassionate, and
Mhm.
understanding of others. And I can't imagine for the life of me why people want to limit that. I don't get it.
Well, and like you're saying, it's opening those perspectives and making those connections. I right now I'm reading with my kids. I'm reading their first book for the year is called The Top 10 Ways to Ruin the First Day of Fifth Grade. And my kids are making such strong connections to the characters in the book, but yet at the same time, they're the main character, they call him Tony Baloney. They know, they're like, we know that we can't pull off nothing that Tony does. Like, we'd be in a lot of trouble. Like, they're able to, even as fifth graders, they're able to understand that difference of what, yes, this is something good that I should know it isn't. Because, oh, wait for it. Who were a lot of the people that taught them the right from wrong? Their parents. The same ones that want to get rid of all these other things that could help them learn and continue to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what else? I can't believe we're almost out of time. And I want to honor our time commitment here. But is there anything else that's pressing in your area or in the state that you want to mention before we kind of wrap things up?
This probably has to be a topic for a completely different, video, since we only have a few minutes. But I know the most pressing, because I am an English 2 teacher, so big standardized testing at the end. So it's not just in our district; it's of course all over, the U.S. with testing and the stress you have. You're trying to teach your students, you want them to do the best, but then also you have so many kids at different levels, and you have to do your SOLO. How are you going to pick your kids up? But you also don't know where they're coming from, and then you're expected to put all your students at a certain level. So it's just kind of stressful just as a teacher. And those are the things that kind of, presses me about, how do I make sure my students are doing well? But if they don't do so well on a test, will it reflect me as a teacher? But also you don't know what students are coming with. Like some students, they feel great the whole week. And then the day of this testing, they don't show up, and then they don't get a good grade, and then that reflects on you, and then you can't find the kids, or maybe they're not feeling well that day, or maybe they're just a really bad test taker and you're trying your best, or some kids really don't care. And so how do you kind of work with that? And also, like we talked about earlier, being, seeing the student as a whole person, but also, people above us should see us as a whole person. We can't control everything in the classroom. As much as we try, we can't control everything, but we are doing our best, and we want people to see that we are, all of us are really trying our best, to help our kids.
Absolutely.
Piggybacking off of what you said, I liked, we're told often, you have these different kids. You need to come up with different strategies. You need to meet the needs of every child. Well, we're human beings as well. I feel like administration and people above us should look at us that way. We have needs too. We're all different. None of us are the same. None of us. So I definitely feel you on that one.
Very true.
Yes.
And we shouldn't be held to those expectations. If we have to teach with different strategies to meet the needs of the kids, then meet our needs, treat us differently.
Absolutely.
Very true.
They talk about telling us to differentiate all the time. We'll differentiate for us. I'm like, come on. And then Angelica too, what you were saying, I think it more needs to be like, if we're going to assess kids or whatever else, let's assess them on their growth. Where did they start versus where did they end? Did they grow this year? Then that's amazing. We need to celebrate that. So what if they didn't get to all the way to exceeds expectations? They grew from does not meet to approaches. That is a huge thing.
And sometimes we don't always grow them academically. What about the kid that we've grown emotionally? The kid that started the year sleeping in class every day, and now this kid comes to class and is wide awake. This kid has been missing days, but now they're coming to class saying they enjoy being with you. That's not measuring. You can't measure that.
So many things that aren't measured on standardized tests that are
Oh,
critically important: mental health, physical health, social emotional health. So all of those things are important. Integrity is an example. Like, that's not measured on a standardized test. And yet these are all things that are essential to being healthy and to flourishing
Yes.
as a human being. And we get myopically focused on what the standardized tests are measuring. And then we get into this test and punish culture, where instead of looking at it as a diagnostic tool, the way your doctor would take your blood
Mhm.
pressure, your cholesterol level, and use it as a diagnostic tool to determine what kind of treatment you need, we don't go to the doctor and say, well, my cholesterol went up, therefore you're a bad doctor. Like, well,
Right.
maybe my cholesterol went up because I ate a lot of cheeseburgers and didn't take my statin. Like that. And if I didn't do that, then it's not the doctor's fault. And I think we just have to get out of the idea that testing, that we're going to holding teachers and districts and schools accountable based on these narrow ranges of testing, rather than using them as the diagnostic tools that they were originally intended to be, has become such a problem and has really been detrimental to the whole system of public education, because it's had to sort of warp itself around meeting the needs of those tests, because that's what that's what Blue Ribbon is based on. It's what our school report cards are based on. It's what
Mhm.
really is considered the point scoring system of the game that we're playing. And I think we've got to move away from that. Oh
Absolutely.
my gosh, we are out of time. It's 7:31. That went really quickly. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Thanks for what you're doing in the Florence area. I'll give you any last chance to share anything before we sign out.
Join our movement.
Right.
We are rocking it out, and we are making some changes in South Carolina. Don't be ahead. Don't be left out. Join us. Come on.
Definitely. Come on.
All right, y'all. I appreciate you. Let's do this again sometime.
Yes,
Hopefully
definitely.
in person next time.
definitely.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Good night.
All right, everybody. That was Shamir, John, and Angelica, educators from the Florence Education Association. And this is the critical thing you need to understand about the SCEA. We're the only first of all, the only union for educators in South Carolina. But second of all, we're the only association where when you join us, you're joining at 3 levels. And each one of those levels is critically important. We can't just advocate at the state level. We have to advocate together with other educators at the national level. So when you join us, you're joining the NEA and 3.2 million educators across the country to advocate for our public schools nationally. Then you're joining the SCEA, which is our state affiliate of the NEA. And then you're joining your local association, like the Florence Education Association, because we have to advocate at school board meetings and at the district office. We have to advocate locally. So we invite you to be a part of that movement. And I want to invite every school librarian. First of all, I want to tell every school librarian who's watching, I love you. I care about you. And the SCEA is here to support you. We know you may feel under attack. We know you may feel threatened by some of the recent things that have been going on. You may be the victim of intimidation tactics by certain members of the community or people that should be having your back but don't. But the SCEA is here for you, to support you, to help you organize, to help you not feel alone in defending yourself against these really, really unfortunate attacks. Because what you do as a school librarian is so important, and we love and trust you. We know that you have the best interest of the students in your school at heart, and we want to stand by you and behind you, because we know that your work is important, and we don't want you to feel isolated. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Cassie, who is doing a wonderful series with our C3 Collective on banned books. Emily Gossett, who's here in Horry County, now a member of the SCEA team. Colleen O'Connell, thanks for always showing up and supporting what we're doing. I appreciate you. I'm just going through all the comments that we didn't get posted. Emily, and yeah. Here we go. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I do want to promote a couple things coming up. Next week on September 6th, Colleen O'Connell, who you saw some of her comments, and Heaven Hale, our public affairs specialist at the SCEA, they're going to be giving a tour of our website at the SCEA. We have so many resources, and we just want our members and everybody to know the amazing things we have on the website. So we hope you'll join us for that. And then this is just kind of coincidental, but we are having this conversation with Cassie Owens-Moore and Michelle Spires. Michelle is the SCEA president. So this is going to be a really important live stream for you to attend on September 21st. And we've scheduled the whole hour to have this conversation with these school librarians. We think that's going to be a really, really important issue moving forward. And we want to make sure they know that we have their back. Veronica Primus is going to be joining us on September 19th, an amazing educator, such a veteran, wise presence who is going to be talking about the importance of rest. If you haven't had a chance to check out the Derryberry of a Day, that's going to be our in-person workshop with Jed Derryberry on September 30th from 10 to 4 at the SCEA headquarters. And we hope that you'll join us for that. So that's about it. Let me pull this graphic off and tell you, I hope you have an awesome Labor Day. I hope every single educator who's watching will take some time to get some rest this weekend and unbalance your work life and get it balanced in favor of your life, because you deserve to have a life outside of school. And we hope that you have a wonderful time with family and friends and just resting and doing nothing for a few days. And finally, go Gamecocks. All right, guys, have a good night.